Hey,
Hey, everybody. Welcome aboard the Tabletop Express.
can
Hello?
you hear us?
Can you hear us okay over there, Anthony?
I cannot hear.
What? You cannot hear us? Uh oh.
Oh, man.
Oh no.
We got technical difficulties here.
You can't hear us, Anthony? Hang on. But
Hmm.
wait. You hear us now. You hear us now. Must be on your end.
It's got to be on Anthony's end.
Yeah.
Wait.
We're phoning Anthony in today, everybody. But Ryan and I are
I
here
can
in
hear
the
you now.
studio.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear
Yeah,
you.
we hear you.
Oh, cool.
Weird.
Ta-da.
So weird.
Can you hear us now still? Can you hear us? Yes? Okay,
All right.
cool.
All
Microphone's
right.
working. It was
Yeah,
just you.
good.
It was you and your headset.
Yeah,
I told
That's
you I
okay.
have a new computer.
New computer.
that's all right.
I
That's
do.
right. Well, hi, everybody.
you,
Thank you
Dr.
for
Jenkins.
bearing with us. We had to unexpectedly bring in Anthony from afar, so but no,
Whoa, that's offensive
No, it's
across
not
the
offensive.
seas.
across the seas.
Our
Afar.
international folk, I apologize for
Yeah.
the unruly
it
behavior.
says call dash.
Unruly.
It says call dash abroad.
Yeah, call abroad.
Call up. That could go a lot of different directions. Let's not do that. So welcome aboard, everybody. Call aboard is here. This is our live call-in show where we invite you to be part of the show. We do this twice a month, and we have so much fun doing it. I do see Mr. Rao Gaming in the house. You're saying technical difficulties is the official motto of Mr. Rao Gaming. Mr. Rao, who does have, by the way, a spot on our Discord for those who are not on the Discord. You can tag along with
We have a
there, too.
Discord. It's fun.
It's fun. It's a good time. But we're not here to talk about Discord. We're here to talk about a really fun topic, which is your board game origin story.
Well, hang on. Don't jump in yet.
Yeah,
For
well-
those of you that don't know, my name is Ryan, right?
That is Ryan. He's one of the co-conductors here on the Express. I'm Chris Barrows. And over there on the other box is our other co-conductor, our third co-conductor,
Yeah,
Anthony. Yes.
Hello,
I
hello.
wish you point in the right direction.
It's kind of tough.
I know.
He went that way.
This way, which way? But yeah, here we are, guys. If you guys don't mind, but actually before we dig in, I want to take a quick moment because I haven't had a chance to do this on the camera yet, but I want to just take a brief moment to say thank you to everybody. For those who don't know, I had recently lost my dad, and I had so many really meaningful messages sent to me from the board game community, but in particular the Tabletop Express community. So I just want to say thank you so much. Really did appreciate it. My family sends their thank you. And it's appropriate we're talking about origin stories too, because when it comes down to it, we're very much inspired very often by our parents. And I know not everyone has great stories with their parents, but I have a lot of fond memories, and I know my dad was really supportive of what we do, and he's met both Anthony and Ryan, and so he really appreciated this and this show. So wanted to make sure I did say thank you. Take a quick moment to do that. So my gratitude to all of you.
Yeah. I mean, it's good that it's
Absolutely.
good to have you back too. And yeah.
I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be back, and to be back with, like I said before, a really fun topic, which is,
You came up with this topic.
well, in all fairness, this is really one of the core topics to the Tabletop Express, because Tabletop Express started with Creators Corner. For those of you who haven't watched an episode of Creators Corner, we do them from time to time, where we do an interview with a designer or an illustrator or an artist. And I've always asked on that show, what's your origin story? So the origin story is always something that's fascinated me. So to do a call aboard on it seems a very logical thing.
Yeah. So we're encouraging people to call in with any stories they have about their first foray into board gaming.
Yes.
And we could just
Yeah.
share on the memories. And I could pull up also too, or was it? I have it over here. No, I don't have it yet. I gotta add. I have to add the screen. Sorry, technical difficulties. We have good old BGG over here that we could refer to
Yep.
whenever we need to. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And we'll bring that up.
What game
and
is
I will say
that?
it's
What game
interesting
is
because
that?
whenever you talk about origins,
I don't know. My origin story begins with, blindfold baseball bats. It's a dark childhood.
Oh boy, should we start with yours? I don't know. I will.
Pinata gone wrong?
or gone right in some households, you know.
Oh man, I don't know. That is a dark. That's it. Well, I mean, to say Monopoly would be a dark start, but I think Monopoly gets a bad rap as an origin story because I think it's an origin story for many, and it was my
Well,
origin
I
story.
think
To be honest,
yeah, but I think there's going to be two like paths that this takes, right? Because
Sure.
what did you play when you were like really little?
yeah,
And then for a lot of us, at least for me, there was like a big gap that board games was not really like a thing for us for a while. And then there was this rediscovery, right, of the hobby. So I feel like there might be two versions of everyone's origin story.
I
I'm
think you
excited
hit the
to
nail
hear
on the
it.
head, Anthony, because that's kind of how I feel about it. I feel like my origin, which was playing Monopoly with my grandfather, who is in his early 90s now, still here and an incredible human being. And then there's the discovery of a more modern game, right?
I'm gonna just pull up Monopoly.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 4.4. Of course, BGG has it a 4.4.
A generous 4.4.
A generous
No,
4.4. But again, Monopoly's going to be an origin, I'm sure, for many people in terms of that first start. I know some people have told me chess, but you're right, Anthony, because when I actually think about my truly modern,
Sorry, they're playing underwater.
They're
This is
what?
distracting. Yeah,
what?
in a pool. That's pretty cool.
That's actually really neat.
Go ahead.
Well, in all fairness, if you're going to mention Monopoly, I just saw the Monopoly Scrabble combination today on Twitter, which is a whole different thing, I suppose. But I was going to say, I had a phase where I had, and I think many may have experienced this, where I was watching a lot of Will Wheaton tabletop.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it. And that started something, and then it changed for me. Like, it really kicked into high gear, and I started really collecting. And I say collecting because I think it's fair to say collecting and playing games around the time that I played Scythe. And Scythe
That wasn't the game. That was your first?
No, that was the one that, like, speaking of what Anthony was talking about before, that was the game that, like, completely re-immersed me in it to the point that I wanted to live and breathe board games. That was the one.
Mm-hmm.
I can say other smaller games were part of that.
Yeah.
But Scythe is the one that got me back into the I want to play them all the time mode for the first time again. And I know that wasn't that long ago, but I just remember that experience. That's also why it's been my number one for a long time. But that game, I remember its significant impact that it had on me. And Ryan Farrell, who's one of the OGs on this channel, actually is the one who showed me Scythe. So a shout out to Ryan, another Ryan in the world.
There's many.
Yeah, there's many, but that's when it did. In fact, I was excited because I'm sitting here with the rule book for Expeditions, a sequel to Scythe right now, and excited to go read through that one. So more on that one to come here in the future. I can say if I have my way.
So you would say Scythe was the first, I guess, hobby board game.
It
right?
wasn't the first hobby board.
Or it was the game that pulled you in.
It was the one that pulled me into the person who had a collection. I wanted to play games, but I wanted to own the games after Scythe.
I see.
I was perfectly happy playing other people's copy of games because I had people around me, but Scythe is the one that made me want to actually have them all again in my house.
Huh.
And it went very
So,
quickly.
Chris, what's the first board game that you purchased?
Sadly, the first board game that I purchased, and I don't want to say sadly, actually, I think that not that I purchased, but I remember my wife bought me Munchkins, actually, because Munchkins, which has been around a while.
Yeah.
My wife bought me Munchkins at some point shortly after college, so Munchkins was
Hang on.
one I
Did she
played
buy
quite a
you
bit of.
the board game Munchkin, or did she buy you Dunkin' Donuts Munchkins? Because you're saying Munchkins,
One is significantly
plural,
better.
and one is significantly.
I bought a lot of Dunkin', Anthony, over the years. So I bought Dunkin' a long time ago. Munchkin's gone through so many iterations, though.
There's a young Chris Barros joining the hobby.
I do still have one copy of Munchkin. I have the
So do I.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles special edition one.
Yeah.
Because I appreciate the art because it's like the old, it's like the graphic novel style.
Okay.
So I have that one copy, and I would love the copy just to put on the wall of the Wizard of Oz one, the special edition Wizard of Oz one. But
This is the only one I
yeah.
still have.
Munchkin Zombies.
that I had that one that got donated, for sure.
Is that
I
at the
think I have some
library?
Walking
Yes.
Dead promo card somewhere. Maybe not.
Yeah, that one.
There's so much Munchkin too.
There is so, but Munchkin came out in 2001.
Yeah.
I mean, Munchkin's been around for ages. So Munchkin's one of the ones that got me back into the modern hobby, but getting me addicted to it again was
Yeah.
Scythe. So I'll give Munchkin the credit where it's due. Munchkin did get me playing again, and that was fairly early on. I knew of Catan and all those other things, but wasn't playing it at the time. So
But you just jumped right into Scythe. It's pretty impressive.
Scythe, yeah, I was so excited. Scythe was the one that reinvigorated me to be like, I need all these things.
Yeah.
And it went very quickly. Very,
Nice.
very quickly.
And so
There is so
besides
much Munchkin.
besides Monopoly, Chris, what
Scythe Monopoly.
is there? No, because you mentioned that already. I'm saying as a kid, was there
Oh.
a game that was like a memorable
Yeah,
one?
well, it was
besides
chess
Monopoly?
and Monopoly, Anthony. That's what it was.
Chess,
like
yeah.
I did a lot of chess. I think I was in chess club. I don't know why. I wasn't that good. It probably I just did it. But yeah.
Here's chess.
But who didn't play a lot of chess when they were a kid? I don't know.
I didn't play a lot of chess when I was a kid. That was weird.
Okay, well,
Too many rules in chess.
not too many rules. Oh my gosh. I want to hear your bat story. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
I want to hear everyone else's stories too. So if you're in the chat, we do want to hear from you. What is your origin story? And as Anthony's kind of said, like it might be a game you played as a kid, but what's the one that really invigorated you in the modern hobby as well? Come thinking about both of those things.
All right. Cool.
I want your bat story though.
All right. Anthony, you want to go ahead or I'm going to go ahead?
I'll go. It's fine.
Go ahead.
Whatever you want to do.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Well, I mean, for me, it was pandemic.
Oh, really?
My buddy, my buddy Eric, who's on the channel with me on Board Game Dads. Not that I do anything on there anymore, but anyway, he brought it over one day and we played this game, and it kind of blew my mind that we were playing like cooperatively, which wasn't a thing that I was used to, and then the fact that you were playing against the game basically. And it was just this, and it's this setting of like the entire world is on fire, right? And you're trying to just save humanity. So it was a very epic, theme and a very epic feeling at the time for it being the first, modern game that I played. I was like, I'm going to immediately go out and buy this game, which I did not. However, the first game I did purchase is on my top 20 and is very, very similar to this, and that's Flashpoint Fire Rescue. So that's the first modern board game that I purchased, and I spent so much time reading that rule book because it was a fairly new game. The rule book was, I'm now learning years later, not the best. And so there was a lot of, flipping things back and forth. And I remember I would play like by myself. I would solo game and play as like 2 or 3 characters because I wanted to learn it enough to be able to teach it to my other friends. So I played this game a lot. And to piggyback on what you said, Chris, this also led to very copious amounts of tabletop Will Wheaton viewing, just over and over again. I couldn't wait for a new episode, and I just fell down that rabbit hole big time. Big time.
I think it's interesting too because I know a lot of people talk about watching Dice Tower and other places, and obviously nowadays a lot of people in terms of larger channels are going there, but Will Wheaton really he made gaming like just so fun and approachable. I feel like for people who hadn't thought of it in a while. And so I think that might have been, there was something about that, the little interviews in between, the production value.
Yeah.
And he did a good job, him and the team behind it, at least picking these games that had the entertainment value to it that made you be like, oh man, I want to have these kind of moments. And so it drew you in. So even if I wasn't buying the games, I'd be trying to find people. I wonder who has that game. I wasn't thinking necessarily of starting a collection, but it just took one, to your point. Like it just kind of takes that one to go down the rabbit hole. But man, that show, that was so important. And you think about how much it has meant to the hobby. I mean, it's so incredibly important in my view.
Rachel's saying, by the way, great game, Flashpoint. My husband is the secondary player in our house, and he loves Flashpoint.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, I've had only good experiences playing that game with people, and you know what's good about it too. You know, it's not like you're gonna win it. You can scale the difficulty a bit, but just playing on the regular level, there's like a family mode, which is different. I'm talking about the regular, like the gamer mode. It's good. Sometimes you get blown away really fast. Sometimes it's a nail biter, and it's just a lot of fun. The replay value is great. You know, I got all the expansions and promos and stuff. Not all of them, but most of them. So you can play with a lot of different firefighters. They have really cool special abilities and stuff like that. That was the other thing that was kind of really mind blowing at the time, was that I was able to do something that you couldn't do in the game. Like it was a special thing that only I could do. That was awesome. You know, again, now it's like second nature. We expect it out of things, but at the time, it's like the first time you hear a really awesome band. It's just, there's something about it that just, you know, locks you in. Contrary to what you just said though, Chris, I did make a lot of purchases because of Will Wheaton's tabletop. There were a lot of games that I bought or at least started to look at. And, you know, I started watching the Dice Tower almost around the exact same time. That I was watching tabletop, and then at some point, sadly, tabletop just kind of ran out of episodes, and now again, so many years later, I kind of understand more why. Right, like he took a lot of crap for getting like rules wrong sometimes or rules mistakes. A lot of people just criticized him because they didn't like him. It was just kind of annoying. Excuse me. And so to that end, the show, you know, had to stop at some point. And the Dice Tower, on the other hand, just kind of like exponentially kept growing into this gigantic thing. But I mean, I would watch the top 10, the old top 10s with Tom, Z, and Sam again, like just nonstop. I would just have them on, go about my day around the house. Again, I was living alone at this time. So it was a lot easier to do that kind of thing. But yeah, no, a lot of great content there that I think is responsible for a lot of people rediscovering this awesome hobby of ours.
I do want to bring up this comment, by the way, from Mitchell Memories. He always hated Monopoly growing up, but didn't realize there were different mechanics. So I thought I wasn't interested in board games until I played Betrayal at the House on the Hill with my brother. And that's a very good point, because I never realized anything about different mechanics, because growing up, board games are roll and move.
Yeah.
You know? You roll, move, whatever you land on, you do. You know? And it's like, oh, move forward, go back, you know?
Or in some cases, you don't do anything. You just move.
Sometimes you do nothing.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting because Monopoly never took too long for me and my family when we played it, because we moved really quick. We made quick decisions.
That's malarkey.
No, they were like 2 hours. So I'm saying like that. Yeah. But like we also did the auction rule. So we did the actual auction rules. So the game's the max was 2 hours. I want to point out, and thank you, Mitchell Memories, for chiming in on this. Betrayal was one of the first games that I did get to play. And I've talked about this game before, so I won't go at length. Mitchell may agree or disagree with me on this. But that game can be wonky as hell.
Oh, yeah.
But I love this game from the experience perspective.
You too. Yeah.
I just came back from playing... We're now 6 or 7 games into the Legacy version. For a group of my friends and I that get together once a year, and I can tell you, I adore this game. And the Legacy version is flying up my list.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous at times, and sometimes the haunts in this game are not great. But you know what? The experience of it, so much fun. And yeah, thank you, Marcel.
6 chapters and
6 chapters and a prologue. So yeah, we've made our way, and that prologue, really, just for the record, it's not a spoiler for the Legacy game. It basically teaches you to play the game. I mean, it's very quick.
I have good memories of playing this one, though. I mean, granted, I agree, it is wonky.
It's
But
wonky
I remember
as
the
hell.
first time I played this, it was at a Panera at a board game night that I just met these strangers at, and they're like, "Hey, let's play Betrayal at House on the Hill," which sounds like the most exciting thing. So I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." So we played it, and it's so funny when the haunt actually happened. I remember specifically, we're like, "All right, I guess we'll go to the register and get more stuff while you figure out what you need to do." It was like, "Yeah, okay." But there's only that pause moment
Yes.
in Betrayal where like
Yeah,
the bad
yeah.
guy just got to read, like, okay.
Well, it's funny though because as Marcel is right, it's been a good time because of the group. It is a group experience. We were talking about this on spoiler alert for patrons. You're going to hear us talk. We talk a little bit more about this game probably next week on the Patron podcast, and it is yes a group type of game where that matters. But oh man, I will say I was laughing at times. It could be like I'd be on like if I was on the floor below for a specific haunt that became really funny for me. I was kind of laughing about it, and I'm yelling up, "Are you guys good yet?" And they're like, "No, stay down there." And so even in those little moments, like it was funny. Like
Yeah.
like. Are you guys good? Like I'm done. I'm ready. No, we need another minute. You know, so there's fun moments in that.
I remember board games like that as a kid, though, too.
Yeah.
You know? All right. I'm going to jump into my origin. But before I do, Anthony, is there any games you played pre-pandemic? The board game? That...
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah,
Anything you
that
played?
was funny.
Like as a kid? Like, that
Yeah,
stands out
for sure.
to you?
I mean, Hero Quest was a new
Oh,
a
yeah.
new level
Oh, yeah.
of play too, and I was the house that we played Hero Quest at because we had a basement with a big old dining room table down there, so it was like nice and dingy and stuff, and that was a great man. That furniture and those plastic figures, oh man, and a lot of content too. It was it wasn't the same game every single time. This was a lot of fun. We spent a lot of hours playing this. The other one I'll say. It's a card game, Marvel Overpower.
Okay.
I played that a lot with Eric and his brother, who are all big comic book people as well. That game's a lot of fun too. Still love the
Tom
artwork
Bass's
in this
brought it up
game.
before.
Oh yeah. Yeah, what year did that come out? What's that say?
It says 95.
95. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that was a lot of fun too. It's funny though. Every once in a while, I'll see like an old commercial or something when I'm scrolling through Instagram for a game. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember playing that game. I think I had that too.
Yeah.
I don't remember what any of them are called, but
Oh, Crossfire.
Well, yeah, I didn't actually own that. That was a lot of fun.
That miles above just toy commercials.
Oh yeah,
man, it made it look amazing. That game got to go in leather jackets, Crossfire. Like
Well,
you'll get caught up in the.
well, it's interesting we're talking about though because there really was like for many. It sounds like at least for both you and I, Anthony, there was a 2-stage period. There was like a went away for a little bit and come back because I mean
Yeah.
I did yes I said Monopoly, but like I played the hell out of Star Wars the customizable card game. Like that was my game. All the kids were playing Magic. I was playing Star Wars the customizable card game with a small group of friends because only so many of us were actually playing it. But that was the game for me.
I also never played Magic because the Magic kids were mean to me.
The Magic.
Yeah.
I had the same experience. The kids who were really
Yeah.
good at Magic and played all the time, like you almost couldn't get into
Yeah.
it. As ridiculous as that sounds, it was hard to get into that group because
Yeah.
they were so freaking good about Magic. But yeah, the Star Wars custom game. I love Star Wars, so for me this was the game. I remember pulling a Yoda card that was worth a ton of money at some point and being excited because then I pulled another one the next day. Like I have some vivid memories of this, and then I'm pretty sure my mom sold it at a yard sale. So
Oh, now it's someone else's.
yeah, well, hopefully they're enjoying it and didn't just make bank off of it. But yeah,
I mean, that's one way to enjoy it, I guess.
yeah, sure. That's not how I felt. But yeah, it is funny though the phases of it. There's the
Yeah.
phases that you kind of faded. Some of us faded out for a little bit and came right back in sooner than others. I know, but yeah.
What Rachel's saying. Had the middle stage with Pokemon cards, and then do drinking games at university count? I mean, I think so. I mean, hey, if it's on Board Game Geek, I think it would count, right? So
Look, whether you like Cards Against Humanity or not, I know when it comes down to it, you cannot deny that
I
was
wonder
played.
now. Kings is a drinking game. Is that on
Kings should be. That's a
Is that
drinking
on-
game.
Board Game Geek?
Kings should be.
Kings is not on Board Game Geek. Kings
Mitchell,
is-
I agree. Mitchell votes that they count. So
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, Kings
Drinking
is not
games.
on here.
There's Kings is.
Maybe it's just called King.
Is it just King?
Maybe it's called King. Do you guys know what King is? Kings. Right? It's a beer. It's a beer. It's not Reiner Knizia
No.
game.
Oh my god.
It's a beer can. You just take a beer can and everyone's just putting cards down under like the tab. And I guess like when it taps open, that player has to.
I've played
It's
it.
dubbed King and
I
used to
could not
chug
tell
it.
you if I knew what I was
I'm
doing.
pretty sure it's what you do, right? That's what you do.
It's been a long
I think
time.
so.
But yeah, I definitely did. We definitely played some games.
Yeah. No, I think card games should count for sure, just period. You know?
Yeah, well, even
absolutely.
those games have evolved because
Kings does. Look, Kings is international. You see that?
yeah.
See?
See?
But Cards Against Humanity and those other Cards Against Humanity games have expanded into better games that give you that. Quite frankly, even in the more stupid, silly category.
Yeah.
So even party games have evolved in a big way if you actually think about it. Other
Yeah.
than just shock value card game into genuinely
Well, Cards Against Humanity came out of Apples to Apples, right?
yes.
Like, it's the same game.
It's the
Apples
exact
to-
same game.
Right? It's just that one has, vulgarity for vulgarity, right?
For the sake of vulgarity.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's just the same game.
I have a Cards Against Me card with my name on it.
Just like how
Scary.
Monikers, right?
Yes.
That's also like a game called Celebrity, I believe it was called.
Right.
Right? I don't know. Just-
That sounds like it was.
one of those
Yeah, I
things.
think you're right. I think you're right.
I don't know. But
But yeah, I guess we will vote that those games count. So there we go. That's a fair assessment.
so by the way, if you do want to call in with your board game origin story, I'm dropping it in the chat. It's call-aboard.com.
Even if you want to call and just chat with us,
Yeah.
we're nice people.
Yeah.
Come say hi. But yeah, come with your stories. We definitely, like I said, this is. I think, again, it's just fun to talk about those games that make us smile when we think about how they kind of got us into a world where we're sitting here talking about games at all, whether we're in the chat or on camera. I think there's a fondness to that. So, including your bat story, I'm guessing.
I'll get to it right now then. So strap on in, folks. All right, origin story. We'll start with part 1, the first part. So honestly, the first game I did play also was Monopoly, but it was Monopoly Junior,
Okay.
right? Monopoly Junior, which I guess was easier, and it's also the only Monopoly I ever finished. I never finished Monopoly.
Oh, really?
Because we played with the awful rules of the
don't
awful
do that.
house rules. But I played Monopoly Junior. We actually did end. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, it was this one. This is is it? No, it's not that box. I just saw the other box. It was right over here. This box. Yeah.
How does it end? Does it require an end? Like,
I don't
you don't remember anything
I
about
don't remember. I remember it was Junior. I don't think there was jail.
Junior.
Junior.
The board looks. Is the board longer?
No, it's shorter. Right? It's only
well,
two
that's what I
properties
know, but
per thing.
I just feel like Monopoly is
That's
normally more square.
Well, it's a square. Yeah, this is a rectangle.
Right, it's a rectangle, but there's less spaces.
Ah, got it.
Yeah. But that for sure I did play. And I thought that was how board games were. But I thoroughly enjoyed the time playing those roll and writes, I played that for
Roll-and-writes?
sure. Sorry. Practically same thing,
It
right?
Yahtzee.
Right.
Hey, Yahtzee. Yahtzee.
Hey, Yahtzee.
Yahtzee?
I never
Yeah.
played Yahtzee as a kid.
Oh.
But I did play. So I loved like all sorts of gimmicks too for board games, and I loved VCR board games. Anytime I can get a VCR board game, I was playing the VCR board game. So the best one at the time as a kid was Atmosphere. Let me see. Is it this one?
By the way, Mitchell,
Which it was Nightmare was themed off of.
I want to note one thing that Mitchell said before we go away completely from Monopoly, which is that
This one?
that my 6-year-old daughter got me hooked with this, and now she plays King of Tokyo. And
Yeah.
to that point, the basic chucking of dice and other things does get you to a next step.
This being Monopoly Junior, not Atmosphere.
Yeah, not atmosphere.
Oh, this game was cool though. It was a VHS game, and they kind of just told you what to do as you played. I mean, it was a roll and move. You have to set collection, roll and move, but with a guy that would just yell on screen. Screen.
Yeah, but when we're like 7, 8, 9 years old, we weren't saying set collection.
No, I know.
That's
but I'm
the
saying
cool thing
now.
about it.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing to me, though, is that it did. Some of these games did start to do that.
Yeah.
Even though we don't think about it in that way at the time.
Yeah, I loved playing this just because of that. Also, I took horrible care of all of my board games growing up. Like every board game I had, pieces just everywhere. You know, I don't know if that's anyone else too. Mystery Mansion was a good one that was like that too. That had like tons of pieces. Right? Oh no, sorry, it wasn't. It was Electronic Talking Mystery Mansion. Yeah, this was a big deal. The Gatekeeper. Yes, my Gatekeeper. Yeah. Yeah, this game came with like tons of pieces.
Are you the gatekeeper?
No.
Sorry, I had to.
You had to.
I
didn't go there. I thought it was, low hanging.
No,
fruit.
I know that's why I did it.
This game was
cool. I don't think I've ever seen this.
Yeah, it was like there was different. So every time you went in, it was with like this digital like calculator kind of thing, and you go into different rooms, and then you have to like set up the room with what furniture it tells you, and you're trying to find under the furnitures which one has like the treasure. And it'll give you like hints as to if it's nearby and stuff. I thought that was kind of cool. We did play that a bunch. So we played a lot of like roll and write kind of. Roll and write. I'm going again. Roll and move kind of games. Mystery Mansion, I think, was a bit different than that. I don't remember it being roll and move. I remember it probably was. No, it wasn't. It doesn't say roll and move. But yeah, that was a cool game that was there. But the game that I guess brought me closer to the hobby was I played a lot of HeroClix, just like your friend Eric. I did play a lot of HeroClix. Still have my HeroClix from way back when. And it's just a tabletop miniatures fighting game. But it's cool because it's superheroes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was exciting, So I remember in high school I started my board gaming club in high school, and it was basically just to get people to play HeroClix. But then it turned into like a video game club. So I'm like, okay, whatever, it's still there. So we did try HeroClix at the time. I remember going to the store and seeing this game called Zombies! Exclamation! And that was also getting there. This was still a roll and move, but you have to go and kind of like explore different levels and stuff. I don't know if you guys ever played Zombies.
Nope. Isn't it based on the Tabletop Express rules?
pretty
Zombies!
Yeah.
Anytime I don't
That's true.
exclaim the exclamation mark, I get yelled at.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna cover it here.
That's true. I mean, there's three exclamations, so that's a lot of exclamations. But anyways, you have to go in and kind of like discover stuff and leave. It was fine. It was cute. I liked all the pieces. What was exciting about it is that it gave you 100 miniatures of zombies, like really cool. But I joined Board Game Geek in 2005 when I bought my first hobby game. So it was right after. Was it? Yeah, it was right after I graduated high school. I went to the board game shop and I bought Fury of Dracula 2nd edition.
Yep.
So I love monster movies. Love Dracula. I'm just buying it just to, yeah, I want this game. So I got it. And man, this game is I still thoroughly enjoy this one. Actually, I don't have it anymore. I gave it to a friend. I have the latest edition of it, the third. Well, no,
the WizKids one or the one
right before
the WizKids?
The third edition.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have that one. And yeah, I love this game. It's Scotland Yard style. So one player is trying to hide across the map, and that player is Dracula. So it's basically hide and go seek of Dracula, and then you get to like taunt the other people and stuff, and then you fight. It's cool. I like this one. I still like it. We should play it sometime.
Yes, but you're gonna dress up in your standard
Dracula
so
fare,
right?
I have a cape with it, and I bought a cape. I bought I bought one-time use like fangs. There's like a little vial of blood in there. You could put on your, when I kill
But
someone.
didn't we talk about this?
And
We're
then
gonna-
I have a foam stake that you could stab me with if you win.
But didn't we talk about doing it in October?
Yeah.
Or October or November, later in the fall.
It's tip.
And then
yeah,
and then we're gonna costume up.
yeah,
So-
for sure. I'm down for that.
This was a backyard conversation. I'm just making it public.
yeah, that's fine.
So
All right.
backyard.
What happens in the backyard can be out on YouTube. That's fine. But this game did bring me into the hobby to check out like the board game shop, and I bought that not too long after. I kept going there. I bought like that Killer Bunnies game.
Oh, I remember Killer Bunnies.
Right?
Yeah.
I bought the Killer Bunnies card game, but the game that really pulled me into the hobby and is still highly rated for me is Dominion.
Yep.
The OG deck builder, the one that started deck building. That one really pulled me into the hobby and said, yeah, this is what I want to. I want to just pursue and play board games as much as I can. So I've been playing board games since I want to, like, really like this, since Dominion, the Seaside expansion had just come out. So I bought the Seaside expansion along with it. When was that? Must have been a while ago. Yeah, Seaside was 2009. So that's when I really kicked in. I got Puerto Rico. I got Ticket to Ride, the card game. And Ticket to Ride, the card game. I never got a Ticket to Ride proper.
You led with Ticket to Ride the
Later.
card game.
Huh?
You led with Ticket to Ride the
Yeah,
card game.
yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. It's not as good. It's not as good. Puerto Rico's fantastic, though. And I didn't watch Tabletop until later. What I did watch was this board game YouTube series called Board Games with Scott. And
Yeah.
he had videos on Fury of Dracula. He had videos on Agricola and all these different games.
Does he still do videos?
No, but he
He just started doing videos again. Actually,
he just started. Okay, yeah.
We got to bring him.
Yep.
We got to
Yeah.
we got to reach out then.
No, he's great. Yeah, and I mean,
awesome.
he's done one-off videos too in like the downtime. Like he did like a video on what board game shelf, like the differences of the IKEA board game shelving units. So like the Kallax versus the Billy.
That's
and
very
stuff like
meta.
that. It is meta, but I
like it.
I dug it. But yeah, I was all about board games with Scott's videos. And then I got it, and then I remember at that time too, Dice Tower was there. I'm like, man, this guy talks too fast for me. I can't get into this. And then I ended up getting into it.
Well,
And then I got into tabletop, which was also a fun time. And whatever about the haters. I had a great time watching tabletop.
Oh, I did too.
Yeah.
Well,
too.
you appreciate it, and I think it's easier to appreciate now that we're doing the live shows and the other stuff, and how challenging it was. It was different, right? In a way. I mean, he had a full studio,
He did.
legitimate full studio, probably a little bit more resources than you and I.
I would say a lot more.
I'm being kind. You know?
Yeah.
But I will say the entertainment value was there, and I know they've tried to. I know other things have tried to do that same
Right.
thing,
Geek
but
and Sundry.
Geek and Sundry's
right.
trying to. It just hasn't landed.
Yeah.
And I know there's bad blood in some places there, but in the long run, I just say grateful for it. But it is interesting again that even though we're talking board game origin, it has really developed into the reality of the phases of it. And some people never left. Some people went in and out. But once you dive in, it's really fascinating. That what I'm noticing is once people have dived in into the modern, they dive in. You look at these people who come in, and 1 year later, they've got more games than I have, and blows my mind. I'm like, whoa, you really went in, and it's so where the hobby has gone. It's impressive to say the least.
Yeah. I mean, I know people have thrown around the term, this is the golden age of board gaming. I don't know.
I think there's so many. It's challenging to me actually. Like I think I'm really interested in the game, but because we're so much in the age of Kickstarters,
Yeah.
and other such things. Sometimes I order one I'm very excited about. By the time it gets there, I couldn't give a crap about it anymore. Like holding the interest is a greater challenge,
Yeah.
and that's the real shame.
Yeah.
Friendly reminder though, if you are in the chat and you want to talk a little bit about your origin stories in a little bit more detail, even if you've already talked about it a little bit in the chat, call-aboard.com, and you will be entering our green room so we can bring you on up to chat with us. You know,
I know there's always been lists of like what people say is like the gateway game, and I don't know. I mean, because like with Fury of Dracula, I don't think is a gateway game.
No.
I think if you're enthusiastic about a game, you're gonna give it that extra oomph.
But that's why I don't like that's also I don't like a terminology gateway game all the time, because like I said, I liked games. I enjoyed games. I was playing very light to medium light games for many, many years. But it was Scythe, which is not a light game.
Yeah.
That made me go, crap, I want all the games.
Yeah.
And after that, I just dived in at that point, and my house started to fill up with them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't to say I didn't like it. I always liked games. I was always playing games. If people want to play a game, I was in. But I was in a very big mix of video games, board games, everything else, a lot of card games.
Yeah.
You know, but Scythe was not a gateway game, but it was my entrance. So I don't like gateway is such a. I don't like the terminology.
Yeah, I get
personally.
it. Yeah. Rachel's asking a question. Any of you do any of the fighting fantasy books, RPG, choose your own adventure type thing, roll dice to adjust stats? I have Forest of Doom by Ian Livingstone. I was 11ish. Love that thing. I've never tried that. No. I remember the choose your own adventure books as a kid.
Yeah. No, actually, it wasn't a game, but I actually did creative writing online when I was between like 12 to 15 years old. Mm-hmm. I was on forums. Actually, one reason I wasn't doing games is I was doing games, but I was doing forums, and I was into wrestling at the time, actually.
Nice.
And
cool.
I had a wrestler in a league called the XWL, and I fought for championships through writing. So I wasn't role playing per se, but I was doing the creative writing in a similar sense that there was something to get you points. That was my experience. I never did the books, but it had that same vibe for me.
So 4332. Okay. Looking at the time code because I want to Google if any remnants of that exist.
I think there's one or two pages.
That's exciting.
It was fun. I was the champion a lot. I mean, I was in the league for a while. It was fun. It was good times.
If you were a champion a lot, you're probably the heel.
Right? No, I did turn heel at one point.
Yeah.
I did turn heel in a big like triple cage match at some point and joined with my longtime enemy.
It's always how that goes.
And then that happened. It was fun. I love that. It was so much joy in that world.
Yeah, but I love. But going back to even talk about like betrayal too, I think, even if a game is wonky, like as a kid, I don't remember the wonky game. I remember the experience I had with like family and with friends. I remember being so excited to go to my one friend's house because he had the Goosebumps board game.
Oh yes,
it was like the Cemetery Goosebumps game.
Oh, Yeah, but but that's kind of a point that by now it's no secret if you've watched this channel just once, you'll know very much about the experience of a board game.
Yeah.
I don't think a board game needs to be perfect. I don't think I'll say if I don't like a board game by all means, but I do think the experience matters. And a bad rule book, yes. If I'm sitting here doing a review, yeah, I can knock a point off for it was hard to learn the game because the rubric was bad. But if the gameplay is fun and in the long run makes a memorable experience, did the game do a good job? To me, it did, even if it's imperfect.
Yeah.
It might not get high marks, but I mean, I say the same thing about I've said about Hit Z Road before. Mm-hmm. It's a silly little game. I don't think it's wonk. I don't think that game is wonky per se, but it's a silly game. But it creates a great experience for me every time I play Hit Z Road. And I played Hit Z Road shortly after it came out, and I fell in love with this game. Yeah. So, and this one's by
Martin Wallace.
Yeah, one of your favorite. I know this isn't your favorite game by him.
Oh, I don't like the game at all.
No, I know you don't. But
I'm glad you enjoyed it, though.
I do. But it's definitely one of those. I appreciate the immersion into the world. The rulebook's a little challenging at times, but
all right. So then let me ask you all this question, because we talk about our own personal origin stories, and because we're likely the board game evangelist in our circle of friends and families and stuff like that. Have you had any successful origin stories with friends, with families, with bringing them on into the hobby?
I'll let Anthony. You got any? I mean, I have some, but I'll give you the lead on this one. I started before.
I'm thinking. So you can go.
So, for me, I have a wife who certainly enjoyed games, don't get me wrong, but I don't think she was in any way prepared for what I would become in terms of my interest. I met my wife early 2000s and it was a few years in that, again, she had first bought me Munchkins or something else that we started really playing. But when I started, I really feel like it was Carcassonne that I introduced her to. And I learned that my wife loves tile laying games. Like, absolutely loves tile laying games. If there's tile laying involved, she will try it and will not think about it. And so, as I started, Carcassonne was her favorite game for such a long time. And I really think this got her going with interest and playing games.
Yeah.
And because of that, we would start to play this with my son and get my son interested in playing, and my son will still play games with us. It's a little bit harder than it used to be, but he'll still play. And then later on, Cascadia will become her favorite game, it's fair to say. But I don't think she would have been playing Cascadia if I started with Cascadia. I think Carcassonne was just the right level. Though I would mix it up and add expansions and things.
So do you feel like you kind of... Because why Carcassonne? Like, did you pick it out? Did she pick it out?
I said I thought you'd like this.
After you playing it,
I had played it. I knew I liked Carcassonne for a while. I had played Carcassonne prior to and just thought, oh, this is a fun game.
Yeah,
and I like Carcassonne a lot. But I thought, oh, this is great. And so I ended up at one point, I just had the base game, and I said, oh no, here, check this out. I think you'll like it. So she's like, oh, I really like this. And there was a satisfaction I could tell from the putting down of the tile. Mm-hmm. And every time, and then that's what got her. And then that would introduce her to other mechanics, because as I did the expansions, it introduced other mechanics like set collection and other stuff. So Carcassonne became a great entry point, because through the expansions, I suddenly was introducing all these other different things that you'll do in different games. And when I came out with those other games to the table, she was already familiar, and there was a clear understanding. Now, she's not going to play, a heavier middleweight game or a heavy game, but you know what? I know exactly the sweet spot with her now at this point. And my son got into it as well shortly thereafter, and we grew him up, raised him with a lot of different games, but he was born into the hobby in that sense.
Yeah.
So my wife, not so much. She played games, certainly, I think, before we met, but I introduced her to, the more modern hobby, and I think she embraced it.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because our children are all seeing these rooms that we have that are just filled with games, which is something I saw, right? And not to this extent,
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys. I didn't have any friends or older people in my life that had a ton of games like this.
No. I mean, when I was a kid, my dad had a closet full, bookshelf full of CDs. Like the Columbia House subscription CDs,
records.
I
have lots of records.
Yeah,
in my dad's.
So that's what I equate it to, I guess. This is my Columbia House record collection.
It just takes up more space.
Way more space.
Had the same deal that they had back then, right? You get 10 games for 10 cents or something.
I thought, wasn't there something that was doing that? There was I could have sworn there was a board game subscription service that was kind of trying to do that. There is, right?
I mean, there's Unbox Boredom, which I subscribe to, but it's not that cheap. But yes, there is you get 3 choices every month if that's the one you sign up for.
I was more excited as a kid, getting the catalog with the stamp and just collecting the stamps, my favorite box arts. And it was a lot of Last of the Mohicans was in the way of everything I wanted to grab. I still never saw Last of the Mohicans, but I remember that box art. Just the dude just running. I still never saw it.
I will say
I've
I was
never seen
actually
it
laughing was laughing today because I was at my son. My son was in music camp, and they went through 15 days of doing a play, and then they actually performed the play. And I would ran into someone I knew there who ran into their parents, and I had given their son a recommendation because he wanted a good solo game that he could play at the pool. And I said, "Oh, try a Palm Island." Because now, like, the games rattle,
Yeah.
Now I'm coming up on a decade of just being able to rattle games off, I found thinking. And apparently he loves Palm Island, so I've been requested to make more suggestions. So kids are getting into this. I mean, there's a board game club in the schools.
Yeah.
Like, kids are actually thinking about solo gaming, at the pool. Like, I'm not saying it wasn't, because there was games, right? But it is definitely more mainstream now, and there's no denying that. I give so much kudos to the people who never left.
Yeah.
And not to say that I left truly, because I was always playing games, but who kept a passion for this.
Yeah.
Like, there's a credit that I give to them, because they're truly, their passion for the hobby is deserves a lot of respect. And I learn about new games, old games from them, I should say. They're new to me, but all the time when they're like, "Oh yeah, this was a game, it was published in this year, it came from this guy," I'm like, "Whoa, that's from like 1987, and I had to look that one up." So I like to learn from those folks.
That's when Fury of Dracula came out. First edition.
1987?
I think so. Yeah. Almost certain on that.
There's a website for that. You can look it up.
Fury of Dracula, 1987.
What game were you playing in 1980? I was
Ooh,
I was
look at
born.
that cover.
I was born the year of the Fury.
Don't tell me that.
What? Why?
No, I feel. So is it really was 1987?
Yeah.
Oh,
Are you
man.
about to say that you feel old now because he was born in 1987? What year were you born?
I'm
86.
I'm 84. Don't do
Like, that's much better.
I know. I'm an 84.
I'm 80.
Look at that.
Oh.
See?
You don't look 80.
Thanks.
Oh man, sorry.
By the way, I am paying attention. I'm looking at my book here because to the question, I know that our friend and neighbor Holly has played games with us for a very long time now, and I'm trying to find a record of the first game that I taught to her because it was likely her first modern board game experience. So that's what I'm looking at through here.
Is
I
that
think
the
I'm
same
almost-
person that I taught Parks?
Yes, you did teach Parks to her, and that was pretty early on in her entrance as well, actually. But I'm still looking for the first time.
It was fairly on, and it's funny just for those who watch, if they ever want to know, all of these interconnections happened. Myself to connecting with Ryan, myself connecting with Anthony, ultimately all happened because of Facebook. So for all the reasons I don't like Facebook, I'm grateful for Facebook. I like to say. Friendly reminder, of course, though, call dashboard.com if you do want to call in and share your origin stories. I certainly appreciate all of your comments and engagement there. Like I said, some great questions in the chat today. And Rachel, to your point about RPG stuff, I will say I did play multiple games of Dungeons and Dragons in my life, but I was never like the Dungeons and Dragons player.
Yeah.
I just had an appreciation for it because I was a I was eventually a theater major, and but I was a theater kid, so I appreciated that. But then I came to realize just how dedicated I had to be to it, and did not have the time. And they want all these people to do long campaigns, so I never got heavy in it. But I always appreciated that RPG and kind of role playing experience. But that was a game that was extremely popular, obviously, and we've seen that come back. I think with Stranger Things.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, not that it ever went away, but
no,
you saw people who would have never thought about playing it.
It popularized it for sure. Like, yeah. And nothing, I mean, first of all, Dungeons and Dragons was extremely popular when it came out. Extremely. You know? But I mean, like, it brought in a new generation for sure. Stranger Things did. I'm not denying,
Oh, no, I mean, it never went away.
Right.
I think that's what we're saying, but it brought in a new and whether those people stuck, I can't say.
Yeah.
I don't know, and maybe other people who do Dungeons and Dragons can better speak to. If Marcel is still here, he might be able to speak to what he's seen if it brought people in, because I know he's played. But
I remember way back when I did AOL chat room RPGs.
Oh
that
my
was
goodness.
Oh wow.
yeah, yeah, right.
Chat RPGs.
Oh,
that
man.
that's that sounds like it could go down a dangerous hole.
No, it was Ghostbuster.
Oh, of course it was.
Yeah, it was.
Of course it was.
I wish
that
you could
makes
say. Yeah.
that no one is surprised by that.
Yeah.
Oh, we do have Marcel chiming in. It's Pandemic that Spiked are playing.
Yeah. Oh, 2020 itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And, you know, I did hear about that. I mean, people were saying that board games and puzzles, those are things that people bought a lot during the pandemic.
Totally
Yeah,
makes
you know.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And not for nothing, 2020 was an excellent year for releases, too. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah. Quite a bit during the pandemic via online. That's true. Online board gaming also soared, you know?
Yeah.
I know.
It was like, what can we play over Zoom? What can we do if we both have the
Yeah.
game?
Yeah.
Well, that's also where, I mean, candidly, that's where the origin of this came from. Because it actually started as me wanting to play games with some folks online. And I thought, oh, it'd be cool if we streamed it.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's nothing original, but let's just do it. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
And then, so I created the Tabletop Express.
Yeah.
And obviously a very different focus at the time, but that's all we were doing. I think we played, oh God, the train game. I can't think of the train roll and write game.
Steamrollers.
No, it was...
Railroading.
Train roll and write game?
It's the, I think it's, oh God, I can't think of it. Ryan, previous Ryan,
Sure.
had done the teach actually
Yeah.
the game when we played online. Ryan and Teresa.
All right. Well, I'm going to tell you about when I converted my coworkers into board gamers. That was always a fun story.
That's always a good one.
Right. So, when I started working at my job 11 years ago. Railroad Inc.
That's it.
That is the
that
game.
is it.
Yeah.
That's the OG game.
Yeah. That's not the OG game.
No, it's the OG. It's the first one that was played here.
Okay.
That's
Got it. I see.
In theory, it may not be on the YouTube, but
Yeah.
it was the first.
All right, so 11 years ago, I started working at my current job, where I was doing web design work in New York City, and every day I would try to bring in a board game to work. Like brought like a little messenger bag and had like Dominion in it. At the drop of any point, I'd be like, I'm ready to play Dominion. So it was about like a year or so there, and I was finally mustered enough courage to get my coworkers to play a game of Dominion during lunch, and it went off like that. And they loved it so much, my one coworker especially, that we go to the nearby board game shop, Complete Strategist, which was like,
Oh, such a good store.
yeah, it's like 5 blocks down the street.
Yeah.
We'd go there, get some games, and we would just try playing games during lunch. We've done Pandemic during lunch. We've done Ticket to Ride. I brought them all down that beginner, I guess like the typical
almost mainstream modern.
Yeah, but
games.
nothing against them. I think
No.
they're great. They're great games still. But they're also great games to kind of like introduce people to, for sure. I think now if I were to introduce someone to a board game, Azul for sure would be pretty high up there, I think. I'll pull up Azul for those that obviously don't know, but I feel like everyone knows at this point how Azul is because it's so approachable. It's so pretty looking.
Yeah.
You know? It's so pretty looking and intriguing and borderline delicious. Especially
if you get the chocolate version.
Yeah, but no, it's not real chocolate.
I know.
That's
but
the worst part about the chocolate version.
the chocolate version.
Don't make a chocolate version if it's not real chocolate.
It should be real chocolate. It wouldn't last long in my house.
Yeah,
Because we would play the hell out of that game.
But yeah, for sure, Azul is one I would likely bring people into. I know I brought in some friends through Robinson Crusoe of all games. Which
Wow.
yeah,
That's a task.
that is a task, but it's a co-op and there's a lot going on. So, but it's thematic. It's thematic enough that you can kind of like walk people through and get them getting that feeling of like, oh my gosh, yeah, like this is what that game looks like when it's all done. Just like cards and tons of pieces and stuff.
Yeah,
It's great.
And you're
though.
all in it together, so it's
You're all in it
everybody-
together.
Everybody goes down together.
So right, and it's not an easy game to win. So I think it's that other feeling too of dread. So yeah, Robinson Crusoe. I snuck people into.
Anthony, if I'm not mistaken, we did a video at one point, and we probably could do more in this series if we ever return to it, where we talked about mechanically, that we would almost introduce the mechanics with,
Yeah.
which was a lot of fun because I remember thinking about the fact that like teaching co-op, one I always considered, I don't know that I mentioned it then, was like Forbidden Desert. Like teaching co-op, I don't necessarily go to Pandemic. I might go to Forbidden Desert because Forbidden Desert does have it can be brutal at times.
Yeah.
But you never like you don't get angry at the game either, in the same way that I maybe would do at a Robinson Crusoe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like that was a fun. I remember that series. And mechanics sometimes are what I'm introducing people on, or sometimes I'm introducing people based on theme. Like,
Yeah,
to
for
that
sure.
point, I
Yep.
think that's why I like Scythe so much, because I loved the vibe of the game.
I mean, I brought people in with Battlestar.
Oh, I can
Too.
see. Yeah,
You know, if you like Battlestar
If-
Galactica and want that feeling of it in a board game setting, you know,
Yes,
it's not really a hard game. It's just a long game.
it is a long. And you may hate someone after it.
You may.
You may. Dr. J Game Fan saying, yeah, introduced with Azul.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I know the route he's gone down. He's got a lot of games now. So
Oh yeah, for sure.
your collection, I don't know, maybe he can speak to it, but I know his collection has more than doubled. I can say that.
Okay.
So he could probably chime in more on that one. Battlestar, though, holy cow, that game. Yeah, you could introduce a Battlestar Galactica fan. That's why I say the thematics of it.
Yeah.
Dead of Winter, if you really
Dead
like
of
the
Winter,
zombies.
same thing too.
And I gave away my Dead of Winter copy,
Yeah.
not surprisingly, to the library. But I loved that game because I was really into the whole zombie co-op thing.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get it to the table,
Yeah.
at a certain point. So, Dead of Winter, which is, 2013, 2014?
2014.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that's a Gilmore game. Jonathan Gilmore.
Right.
I tend to appreciate the thematics of anything Gilmore does.
Yeah.
I really do. He did also another pick up and deliver game that I haven't played, Wasteland Express, in ages.
I definitely it's so funny you bring this up because I know this game had some legs for bringing in some people too.
It did.
Because, well, I can tell you from experience specifically, I asked for this for my birthday, and my brother ended up getting it for me. But I play a lot of games with my brother. Like I taught him how to play Twilight Struggle, and we played that together one day. So we played a lot of board games together. And Dead of Winter, he saw that I wanted it. He bought it, right? And he wanted it to be like a flip the script kind of thing. And he wanted to teach me how to play it.
Oh, no.
So he opened the copy that he bought me and learned it with his friends. And they loved it so much that he ended up buying a second copy for them to play as well too. And his friends would like have Dead of Winter nights.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
My favorite is the Drunk Santa.
Yeah,
In the
yeah.
game?
I just saw him. Or was he?
He's in there.
Yeah.
Drunk
Like
Santa.
borderline Bill Murray.
I'm the first to tell you, if someone wants to play this game, I will play this game.
Yeah.
I may not own it anymore, but you say, hey, I want to play this, I'm in. Like,
As long as you set it up.
yeah, I don't want to. No, that's true. Oh,
And tear it down.
Dr. J saying, yeah, way more than doubled. I do have you to thank, maybe, for my introduction to. Yeah, that we might get.
Yeah.
Maybe at fault there. I'm happy to.
What'd you introduce him to?
I don't know what the first one I introduced him to was. I definitely talked about games with him at one point, but I don't remember what I first talked about. That's a good question. I don't remember. Maybe he does and can tell me, because I don't.
Did you find it, Anthony?
find the
I
answer?
did. It was 2 games. I mean, no, wait. It was Survive,
Oh.
and then Pass the Pandas, which is a really crappy dice game my wife loves.
You like
That's right.
Survive, you've talked about before, though.
That's your top 20.
That's your big one for you.
Oh yeah, I love Survive. for sure. And we just played that again not too long ago, a couple weeks ago. We played that.
Pass the Panda?
Past the Pandas, yeah. It's a really
Pandas.
silly dice game.
Oh.
It's awful.
Okay. I will believe you. Oh, you still have it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. My wife loves this game. Loves it. Although I will say, a couple years ago when we were doing, my wife and I had a streak going to play it at least one game a day for a year, and there was a lot of these going on because it's like 5 minutes and this is done. So it did come in
You
handy.
actually got a good point. Is it like Past the Pigs?
I don't know that I've played Past the Pigs.
That's what's that guy's name, right? Past the Pigs is it's gonna come.
There's
to
a
me when I
party
see
edition
it.
of Pass the Pigs?
Yeah. Oh no, it's not that thing. I was thinking of the other guy.
Roll 2 pigs into all kinds of
Yeah.
positions. Achieve the ultimate and
boy.
make bacon.
I was thinking of Grandpa Beck. That's what it was.
Oh, that's what it is. We got the deck. Or
Oh, you played
we
Quacks
talked
together.
a lot of games, but the first game we actually played was online.
Yeah.
We've never played in person.
Oh, there you go.
He was supposed to. He was hopefully he was going to try and come up around my birthday last time. It didn't happen, so it's still going to eventually happen.
Quacks is a good one.
Quacks is good. I love Quacks.
I
Not
love Past the Pigs.
I've never played Past the Pigs.
Try Past the Pigs.
No, who's got Past the Pigs? Someone bring it over. I'll play Past the Pigs.
Yeah, I never played Past the Pigs. I've seen it. I've just never played it though.
Oh, Josh is saying it's his favorite in-laws game.
What?
Wow, Past the Pigs is sparking some conversation here. I love it.
What year is that
I've
from?
never played this Past the Pigs game.
Yeah,
I've seen it. I've just never played it.
I was not even aware of Past the Pigs.
Look at
That's
this.
why. Oh my gosh, that's a great little visual for it.
Wow,
That's
that's
so
cool.
It's ahead of its time.
Look, see, he's one of the friends that I got into Robinson Crusoe. Oh yeah,
Oh,
then I made him play Study in Emerald. Yeah. We'll get back to that one. It's a great game. Don't listen to Josh.
And now Marcel's even said my sister brought that to the lake house and we played a bunch of games. So wow, Past the Pig.
There you go.
We need to play Past the Pig.
We will play Past the Pigs. What's the player count on that? I feel like it's like a big group thing. Yeah. 2 to 10.
2 to
Best
10.
4 to 5.
Okay.
All right.
1977.
Right. We need to find a copy Past the Pigs, and then maybe we'll stream it on the Discord one night and let everyone see our experience of passing the pigs.
Oh, this guy's passing the pig right here.
Oh yeah, he definitely is.
Jeez.
Oh man, see, you never know what's gonna spark.
See, look, Josh
Oh.
has a copy of
Josh
Past the
has
Pigs.
cubs. All right, there you go. Josh, you're coming on the channel sometime. We're gonna
Pass
play
your
Past
pig.
the Pigs.
Is that what they say in the game? Pass me your pig.
I don't know what they say. I just know there's
The
pigs.
pig is up. I don't know.
That's definitely not what they said.
No?
And everyone leaves the stream because of that. That's what- So when I watch the drop rate on the analytics, there we
I
go.
don't know.
No, it's okay. I've made much worse jokes than that, so it's fine. Oh, we still have more people. Oh my goodness,
Anthony
Yeah.
has left.
I'm not left. I'm right
I
here.
haven't even- no, that's not. If anyone does have something to say, of course, call-board.com. Buzz us in. You can even tell us a game you played recently. If you don't want to talk about your origin story, we will welcome you to the show. Josh is saying it's literally rolling pigs and having them land in suggested
Oh,
positions.
so this is correct then. That's,
Oh my god! We are no longer. a
And
family
Rachel
chat.
said there's a
No.
giant version. I want to see the
Oh
giant
my
version.
god!
a giant Past the Pigs?
There's a giant Past the
I
Pigs.
saw there's deluxe Past the Pigs. Nerds Dancing Dice Game.
What? did-
Past the Pigs Party Edition.
What?
Oh,
What's
Schweinwürfeln.
what's in the party edition?
I don't know.
That edition.
Instant Loss.
That's fun.
Oh, you don't. Okay, we need to learn this. Okay, we need to learn this game.
Okay.
Just for I am entertained already, and we haven't. I don't care if it's good or bad. I am entertained by this.
Yeah, I've seen Past the Pigs, never played Past the
They
Pigs.
use live
They can't
pigs.
touch or you go to 0.
Oh, Pigs. Oh my god.
That's pretty great.
We are going down a dark path here with the pig conversation. You know,
I don't know.
do we make bacon before we play this game or something?
Probably.
Make some bacon and eggs, make it a morning show.
I mean, I see them making bacon in this picture.
Oh, they're making bacon.
But sorry. All right, let's change this.
Reel it back in, everybody. That's
reel
what
it
we're
in.
gonna do. What's we're gonna do? It's cow tipping 2.0. All right, this is great. I see what sparks conversation if we ever need this again. Cool, yeah. So again, we appreciate the conversation chat. If anyone does want to pop in and say hi.
Danielle.
Speaking of saying hi, it's Danielle. Hey Danielle, how are you? You missed.
Pass the pigs.
Oh, there we go. Wow.
Look at this. Is there solo play? There's gotta be a solo variant.
Is there solo play? Yeah. Oh my gosh. I didn't expect this. We've lost Anthony. Anthony can't breathe anymore. Good job.
Oh boy.
Everybody. No, great timing, Danielle. Good to see you. Yeah, we'll have to have Danielle do her solo show.
I mean,
Pass the
card
Pigs.
games are always a good one for growing up too, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, we've all learned like Go Fish, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So like, are there any card games that you could feel like that stuck out to you?
When I was young,
yeah,
it was Uno.
Uno.
I definitely played it wrong
Everyone played it wrong.
because apparently everyone played it wrong, but it was Uno.
yeah,
I mean, I'm sure Go Fish. I have literally a mini copy of Go Fish from like
Yeah.
a party pack in my small games drawer. But like Uno and War, to be honest,
Oh,
I
yeah,
played
War.
a lot of War.
Yeah.
More. My grandpa loved playing War with me, because it was such a simple concept.
yeah.
It took 30 minutes. Yeah, right.
30 minutes.
Yeah, it does not take 30 minutes in a competitive game of War. That goes on for hours. It feels like, not really, but it feels that way.
Phase 10. There you go.
Oh yeah.
I know. I used to play a lot of Palace. You guys ever play that game? Palace is
That's a card game?
Yeah,
Not familiar with Palace off the top of my head.
it's pretty good. Actually, it's on BGA. Believe it or not. But yeah, you're just trying to lose all your cards, and you do that by just playing different numbers down. And then the number you play down has to be higher than the previous number and stuff. And if you can't beat it, then you have to take your hand of cards. And then Egyptian Rat Screw. You guys ever play that?
I'm familiar with it. I've never played it.
That game's pretty fun. That one I used to play that a bunch in high school. It was Palace, Egyptian Rat Screw we played. It was like kind of slapjack kind of style.
Wow.
I think you had to
I've
lose
never
your
heard this.
cards.
Josh saying Racco.
Oh, Racco. Yep. Let me pull up Racco. That's an old one too. When we last did the review on Old London Bridge, Racco is kind of similar to that, where you have to like put them in order.
Yeah,
and stuff
to
like
get
that.
the points, right?
Yeah. Racco for sure.
You think about some of the games.
Flux.
So Flux was, I give Flux a lot of credit. I was in like a youth group when I was in like high school.
Yeah.
And in the youth group, Flux was so incredibly popular. My buddy Travis used to always bring it, and I still always have a copy of Flux or two around because Flux is just good, silly fun.
Never played Flux. I played the Back to the Future card game, which was from Looney Labs too.
I've got the Marvel Flux is the one we play in our house.
Yeah.
Which has a really annoying card that you have to pass the Captain America shield after you go, and if you don't, you like lose a turn or something. And I can't stand the passing of a coin, but the coin is really cool.
Okay.
But so all the Fluxes try to add some little extra thing here or there, but just straight up Flux is a great game.
I saw Rachel saying Nature Flux.
Oh yeah,
Mitchell just played.
yeah, Marvel
There's
Flux.
so many.
Yeah. And Mitchell, I think I may have an extra card for that. If you don't have it, I've got an extra. I think it's Squirrel Girl. I may have an extra card somewhere.
Pairs is new, right? Isn't that a new game? Or...
So Pairs is one I got to play with Marcel, and I really enjoyed this. And I had
It's
never
not a new
played it.
game.
But
You were talking
it's
about
not-
this, yeah.
But it's apparently not. It seems like a game that would have existed though. That's what was
Yeah.
fascinating about it. Like Pairs is not an old game, but you could just play a quick card game in pairs so easily. It's so much fun. It doesn't take long. What, 5-10 minutes?
Yeah.
Most games are short. So, well, they're all short, but
I do need to pull this up. Danielle's saying her first taste in the modern board gaming was when my husband got Mechs versus Minions, but didn't end up getting into the board game hobby for another few years after. Have you guys ever played Mechs versus Minions? Because that's
Nope,
that was
have not.
wasn't like a spinoff of League of Legends. Like it's of that.
I have never actually played it. I've heard so much about this game,
Right,
but
it's
I've
from
never
Riot
played
Games. Am I completely wrong about this? Yeah.
it. Well, Riot Games is big in esports and other stuff, so that would make sense.
Yeah.
That it has that inspiration.
Yeah.
So, because Riot Games makes a bunch of like Steam related games, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And they came like all pre-painted. You know.
Oh wow, it comes pre-painted.
Yeah. It came all pre-painted and like in a nice little tin thing.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
It
I've
looks
never played
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, it did look pretty cool.
Well, and Danielle, I'd be interested.
Yeah, same universe as League of Legends.
Danielle, I'd be interested because you've talked about this a little bit sometimes on the channel, but you eventually got down that really into the solo game route. So I'm interested what like the first solo game that like stole your attention was.
That's a great question.
Like, but I know for Danielle, obviously that was a big piece.
Yeah.
And when I first met Danielle, and long before she was involved in the channel, like we would talk about just the solo game she was playing.
Yeah.
And, I wonder what the first one was. And if you've shared it with me in the past, I apologize, but I'll throw it at you now.
I know my first I'm almost certain my first solo game must have been like a co-op. You know? Like it might have been Robinson Crusoe, honestly. I know I had Mage Knight for a long time and didn't muster the courage to play it. And then I finally played it and I love it. That's a solo game, but it's intense.
Yeah, I mean, for some people, that is the experience because they just want to do something different and they're not maybe into video games or something too. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. Good choices. Did we miss anything else in here? Just making sure. Oh, Rachel also has Star Trek's Next Gen Flux. Yeah, there's so many fluxes.
There's a Monty Python Flux.
Yeah.
I think it's specifically Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
There's
two.
There's also just a flat out drink beer flux.
Okay.
Like I've never played it, but I assume it's just a fancy way to get drunk. I don't know. I don't want to. I shouldn't assume.
Whole lot of Flux.
Yeah, there's a flux for everything.
First solo game was Tiny Epic Galaxies, and then
That makes sense. Tiny Epic Galaxies has a good. That game as a whole, it's the best Tiny Epic. Quite frankly, it is. It really is. It is my favorite Tiny Epic. It is really good. It is generally a game that I sometimes wish was not tiny because I think it would be a phenomenal, bigger size, full size game.
Huh.
I feel that way about Tiny Epic Zombies too, but Tiny Epic Galaxies has like held its own for a while.
Tiny.
I have that one.
Yeah.
That's at work.
Nice.
It fits. It's in my desk at work actually. Yeah, Wingspan did have that good. I tried the solo modes with Automa with the Stonemaier games, but I just never got into it because I didn't want to set up that much.
Yeah.
I wanted a smaller setup. That's the reason why I think Tiny Epic Galaxies is probably a good foray into solo because they set it up so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mitchell. Yeah, it's so true. The Tiny Epic Zombies is a ton of fun.
Yeah.
It is.
I've seen the item meatballs. I never played any of the Tiny Epic games.
If you're gonna play them, for me, Tiny Epic was a big one.
I played Top Trumps. It's a UK based card game, and same thing, lots of themed deck like Doctor Who. No, I never.
Yeah, now I need to know. You said Doctor Who. I did have Doctor Who Risk for a while, which I may still have.
Top Trumps.
What is the...
Use your knowledge of the cards to trump your opponents.
Huh.
But
What?
that's a weird cover.
Yeah, it is, right?
Why is it...
looks like a video
different? Is that just one of the theme? Oh.
What? Okay.
I didn't expect that.
The cars.
You clicked it and became like, oh, now they're
It's
the...
Finding Nemo.
Now it's Finding Nemo themed? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure But
But I feel like nowadays too, if someone wants to get into board gaming, I feel like there's a great entry point for any sort of thing you're interested in.
Yes.
Like if someone wants to get into board games and into history, I think Timeline's a great option for that. Something like that, you know.
Well, I would even say I have, because I think the copy arrived at the library, because I had them order it.
Oh, here we go. You compare the stats and the cards to win.
Oh, interesting.
I guess I gotta try this at some point.
I was going to say Votes for Women as an example.
Yeah.
It is not too complicated to teach someone who doesn't do a ton of board games, but genuinely, I've had people say, that sounds really cool. I'd like to try it.
Yeah.
And that could be an entranceway for
Yeah.
a lot of people into saying, I'd like to try something else. So I do think that the thematics of these games drive a ton of value. And if the gameplay is, I don't want to say, it doesn't have to be simple, but if the gameplay is well designed or creates that experience, I think it can open those doors, because I think there is something for everyone.
Yeah.
It's the same thing I say about craft beer. I can find a beer that anyone will like. I can find a board game that anyone will like, in my opinion.
Well, there you go.
Unless you just are, a
Curmudgeon.
curmudgeon. Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, there's a game called Curmudgeons. You could use that.
That's true.
There you go.
Mitchell's saying, I've used Azul to get lots of people interested in the board games. Yeah, Azul.
Yeah, I'm not.
I feel like Azul. I feel like Azul's going to be a starting point for a lot of people.
Yeah.
At this point, just because I know I will play Azul. I taught my friend, the first game I taught my good friend Lee on Board Game Arena, because he wanted to have a board game night sometime. It's like, have you ever played Azul? And Azul was the first thing I thought about.
Yeah.
So Azul is coming up a lot for a reason, I think.
Yeah.
You brought it up before, but also you've got games like, I know I'm just sitting at, I know it was, I know, you've talked about it was okay, but like Indiana Jones Sands of Adventure, right? Like, you're going to get people with IPs now.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting that.
Like the Funko games.
Like the Funko games. Funko, and look,
Horrified.
Horrified is fantastic.
Yeah.
Horrified's I still want my supernatural version of it, but
Yeah, but the part of the thing too with bringing people into the hobby, I feel like the teach is very important, and also if you're not there for the teach, at least the rule book is very important, right? Or just like quick rules video, something that they can just get going.
Yeah.
Peros taught me what Azul.
Oh, I taught him last year.
There you go.
And then
Well, that was the first game that you did at the library too, right?
Azul was the first one we did at the library. And to give the backdrop of what he's talking about, we started a board game club, which needs to come back. I need to be doing less so that can happen. But that was exactly the first game that we did, Azul, and it was a hit. And then the library has a copy in the library that they bought for it, but we also brought all our old copies.
Escape rooms brought me into the board game shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
escape
true.
rooms got popular, and then escape rooms at home. They have like the little boxes and stuff.
Those
The Exit series and whatnot.
And they've evolved beyond so much from that. I mean, even it's not an escape room technically, but we played in. I think we've talked about it here on the channel, but the one by Neil Patrick Harris won.
Oh, Box One.
Box One, which it was kind of like a solo escape room.
Yeah.
It was a big puzzle. That was a phenomenal experience.
Yeah.
So grateful that I did it. I'll never do it again.
Well, you can't.
Because it can't.
Yeah.
But I actually would take a 1.2 if you wanted to do it and go do another one, because I thought it was well designed.
Yeah.
It was a great experience. I say experience left for a reason, though. I do think that matters. Yeah. And the escape room games, Anthony, I know, have you done a lot of the escape room games at this point?
Yes, but I haven't done one in a while, and I feel like there's another level of them that I haven't experienced yet. Like my experience is pretty limited to the Exit games and some Deckscape, and I feel like there's one more that I'm forgetting. But I've enjoyed them. I mean, they're Unlock, yeah, right, yeah. They're a lot of fun. I think they are very, like many games, very group dependent. I think that you know, the lower end of the player count is kind of like ideal for those types of games, especially when you're like passing stuff around or whatever. Like if when you do an actual escape room, you're obviously in a bigger space and it's a lot
Right.
easier to kind of like split up and look at
Yeah.
this while someone else is looking at that. But with these games, you know, you got like one piece of paper, someone's leaning over trying to see over your shoulder what you're looking at. So 2 or 3 people, I think, is kind of the sweet spot. But I do think that they've done a very good job of getting the immersion of a real escape room in a lot of these games because I love escape rooms too. I used to work at one for a good bit actually, and you know, to your point, the one downfall is no one is ever really going to come back and do the room again unless you totally change it up.
Right.
But with these
And that's why when
games,
you
you just
get
pump out a new one every month, and you're like, hey, now I get to escape the castle or do this or do this. So yeah, it's a great theme
that is
genre
why I
rather.
will note this when you talk about introductions, as we are. I am grateful to have a bright, full of energy 5-year-old daughter, and one of the things I picked up at PAX Unplugged, and I know you picked up one of these for
Oh
your
yeah.
son as well, was this series of books, and we both picked up different books. They were Van Ryder Games had put these out, and they're choose your own adventure of sorts, but you have to. There's a game built into them, in that you do get points for finding and locating things on each of the panels, and there's a score at the end. So it's a little bit of a game in itself. And the one that I got from my daughter is about this princess who rescues herself. So I love the message of you don't need to wait for that guy to escape the the tower.
BGG
Yeah, I doubt it has a BGG entry. So I'll get the name is slipping my mind here. We may have to check Van Ryder's website, but the point being is she does this and she loved this book, and she now teaches. And if she has a game, which makes him proud, if she has her game that got her into it, it is a Ghostbusters game,
Oh yeah.
and you know what it is.
I do. I do.
It is the game that is thematically taken from Ghost Fight and Treasure Hunters.
Yeah.
But my daughter teaches people in her house this game,
Yeah.
and fairly well. I'd say she has like 80% of the teach down at this point, which is impressive
Nice.
because she's 5.
It is actually a pretty cool game too. It's yeah, it's based off of a Ghost Fighting Treasure Hunters, Ghostbusters Protect the Barrier game.
Yep.
Where you go in and just shoot up ghosts and try to escape with pieces of.
But you can
some
play
evil
it.
machine.
You can play it in an advanced way because you could make it so you have to collect them in the right number order.
Right.
Or you can play it where you just have to collect them. So you can scale it as needed, and then you can add in the big bad who you can't even get out of a room. You just got to wait for him to move.
Yeah.
So there's a few ways you can make it harder and harder. But my daughter can teach this game, and if she has her entry level, her point of entry, I mean, this game has become it. She will pull this out on you at any given moment, be like, no, let's play this. So I always have it on the shelf upstairs where she can find it.
Yeah, and it was based off of right. So Ghost Fighting Treasure Hunters is the same.
And
Yeah.
I don't,
Yeah.
and I will just say I love Ghost Fighting Treasure Hunters, but that Ghostbusters one is the one she's become.
Well, the box is smaller.
The
That's
box is so much better.
that's alone a reason to
Yeah.
get it.
The box is smaller. Yeah,
They have an expansion for this one too.
for the Ghostbuster Treasure. Yeah.
For Ghost Fighting Treasure Hunters. the
Yes,
cookie
it does.
seller.
It adds additional rooms, and
Yeah.
it kind of it's so there's a little bit more. But yeah, so I just note that game.
Yeah.
I just note that game because I think it's
What? Oh yeah, that is the first game I taught you. Yeah. So that game, the Ghostbusters Protect the Barrier, we had an event that we were doing with the Ghostbuster group at a library. It was like a con there, so you can't really do much.
Yeah.
You know, we're not like going all crazy like, hey, check us. You know, it's still kind of a library. So, so we did we had a board game setup of the Ghostbusters Protect the Barrier and just like walk kids through. Yeah, and that's true. It's the first event that we ever met.
It's a great thing to add to your list, Mitchell. Honestly, I know the box is A+. You can teach this game easily. It's really straightforward, and if you just start with the lowest level where you just have to get them, it's a roll to move.
Is it still available, the Ghostbusters one?
I don't know, but just get Ghost Fight and Treasure Hunters.
Yeah.
It's the same
Same
game.
thing.
So I don't know if the Ghostbusters.
I don't know if the
one would
Ghostbusters
be
one's available anymore.
There's like used copies.
You can buy used copies, but I think either or they're gonna like it. Same core game.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. No, by the way, I really do appreciate a lot of chatter tonight. Definitely, like I said, anyone does want to buzz in, you can interrupt us, show up in the room. We'll bring you on. But we appreciate all the chatter on this. A lot of great origin stories.
Brian Chandler has arrived.
As I say that, Brian Chandler arrives. Hey, Brian, how are you?
And we didn't mention Lord of the Rings. If we did, right?
No, we didn't mention
didn't.
Lord of the Rings. I have been seeing a lot of Lord of the Rings memes on my Instagram lately. I will say that.
All right. Well,
I saw one where if you just changed the music to any scene, you could completely change, which is true for any movie, but it was humorous to say the least. Brian, good to see you, my friend. Your origins. What's the game for you? I mean, you can come on and tell us or do it in the chat, but I'm gonna say now, make sure you throw in what was the game that really got you into the into the modern hobby that got you just enthusiastic.
is it not that Lord of the Rings
I'm assuming
card
it's,
game?
I'm assuming it's Lord of the Rings card game and just want to confirm it for
Yeah.
him. It's got to be that.
I feel like it's got to be.
It's got to be the Lord of the Rings for Brian.
Yeah.
Yes. Lord of the Rings
Yep.
organized play is
Yep.
my origin. Yeah, there it is.
Yep.
Yep. Not surprised. One bit. Love it. Yeah.
I still want to play that one. I'm going to play that one.
Well, we're going to when we eventually have TTE Con one day.
No, even before then. I will
Okay.
play it.
We'll play. Do you have a copy of it?
You can play it online.
Oh, we can?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I saw there was a site for it.
All right. We can do that.
Yeah, this one. Lord of the Rings, the trading card game. I like the concept of it, where you're not really a role. You're doing both roles, which I think is pretty fascinating.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I would like to try this. Yeah. We'll make this a thing.
Okay.
Sounds good. There was a game called, it's like a storytelling game called The Hobbit something or other. I got to figure it out, but it came out of print and I was always bummed. I should have bought it when it was at the store that time.
Oh, it's $3 over here.
There's no way it's the full game.
It is 3 cards.
Oh, Legolas, Gimli, and Aragorn. It's from because it's from the extended edition of the DVD.
Gift box.
Yeah, the gift box. Well, I think
Review?
I think we can jump into some reviews. So stay along with us. We're going to talk about some games. We'll see what you think about what we're talking about. But hey, we got some games to talk about here.
Which one are we talking about first?
What do you want to start with?
I'll let you pick.
Let's start with one that we all three of us are going to mention. Before we do that, I'll just see what Marcel's saying here. You mentioned Young Origin games. The main ones I had when I was young. I remember. What do we got, Marcel? We got Cribbage, Clue. Yeah.
Oh, Cribbage,
And Stratego. I just want to point out, I have my original copy of Stratego.
Still never played it.
It's beaten to hell, but I have an extra copy now because someone was giving one away for free at work and it was mint condition outside of being opened. So I now have 2 copies. I will not get rid of my original.
Yeah.
I refuse to. But good choices. And Clue's classic. Life was always fun too. Life was more fun than it deserved to be for me. I always liked Life.
Life
Get as
was
mi-
alright.
You get as many kids as possible because there's a payday at the end. I don't recommend that in real life. It's not a good approach in real life.
We did play with the house rule where if you weren't paying attention, you could steal the opponent's kids and sell them to this.
That's a weird house rule.
Yeah.
That is a weird house rule.
So we did.
All right. Well, I'm going to note the time code of 135 so I can make a quick video of that just to note how, because that's just weird. But yeah, let's talk about a game that we've all played. I think we have at least 2 of those. And I know we all played this at different times, but we've both played it with Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Never
both
all
lost.
3 of us together, though. Well, if you're keeping score, I guess.
Well, yeah,
Which
we
I
are.
am. We both are. Yeah, we all are, actually. So, yes.
We're keeping score.
So this is Joan of Arc, Orleans Drawn Right, designed by Ryan Hendrickson and Rainer Stockhausen from DLP Games. This is the roll and write version of Orleans, which is like a top 20
Yes.
of mine. I love Orleans.
You love Orleans.
I do. But I don't really like roll and writes. usually.
Right.
But anyways, go ahead and describe how you play this game.
So in Orleans, it is a game where you're drawing from a bag, and all these in this particular game, I should say, you're going to actually be drawing from a bag to determine what actions are available on that turn. And on your map, on your board, which is a pretty large size, actually, I'll just kind of give a demonstration of this.
Yeah.
We have it right here. It's a pretty decent size. So if you see here, this is the board that you'll have. And there's a lot of different choices, but it's all based on the characters on the table that you pull. So there's actually a bag in here, because I think it gives you a good idea of the feel. Because you're pulling out of here, you're pulling X amount of tokens. I've got a few in my hand here.
You got like chunky discs.
They're pretty decent.
I'll pull up the actual pictures.
Pull up the actual pictures, but they're pretty decent weight. All things considered for what this game is. Point is, that's going to decide the actions available that round. There's actions that give you different abilities. There's actions that are going to help you travel on that right side of a board that you see there. And then you're going to be doing a lot of stringing of actions together, similar to what you would maybe see in some of these other popular games that we've talked about before. I've talked about in Hadrian's Wall, when you took at a lot of games like Motor City Games that they're putting out, a lot of it kind of stringing together and getting its advantages. Mm-hmm. There's also these crests. I guess, is that the proper term for the thing? Is there a crest at the top?
I think so.
The crest at the top, the first person to complete them is going to get certain things that they're going to be able to do. And ultimately in this game, you're scoring points and getting different abilities, victory points at the bottom of the board based on the different things that you're doing to collect.
Just like Orleans has got the weird scoring where you add up your trading house's citizens, multiply it by how far you're on the track, and then gain bonus points.
Thematically, when you talk about the gameplay of this, it takes a little bit to kind of pick it up. I think if I was just learning it.
I do want to highlight one thing.
Yeah.
In the gameplay, super important about this game is that when you are drawing these pogs, right, whatever, these tiles, you are drafting them. So on your turn, you get to choose what is available and take that one. And that may affect you greatly, but you also may want to take something that's going to affect another opponent greatly.
Yep.
So, sorry, go ahead.
No, I think, and that is, so as a two-player experience for me,
yeah,
I will say, and I'll get into this a little bit deeper, but as a two-player experience, it worked very well because I was trying to have to make decisions about what Ryan might need. The bottom line, which is it does have that Orleans type of scoring, and here's the thing, thematically, when you talk about this game, and Anthony, have you played Orleans? I can't remember.
I have not.
Okay. I can say this, having played Orleans and really liking Orleans. I've only got rid of Orleans myself because Ryan has a souped up version of this thing. It feels like Orleans.
Yeah.
It really does. So I give this a lot of credit for feeling like Orleans thematically. I think a lot of roll and writes don't do that. So I want to give kudos in that regard.
Yeah, I guess that is the theme. Does it feel like the base game, right?
Yes.
Because the theme of Orleans isn't really there either.
Right.
But the difference, and this is why I was kind of skeptical about this too, Orleans is a bag builder. You have your own bag. You are getting these different pieces, putting them into your bag, drawing them out, and putting them out into your engine. This doesn't do that. This has a single central bag where you're going to be drawing these pieces out. Yet it still feels like Orleans, which is bizarre because I always, when I pitch Orleans, it's like, oh, you like deck building? How about bag building? You know, I never mention, oh, do you like route building or do you like weird scoring systems?
But I'll point out, it like I said, it works.
Yeah.
It really works. And that's why from a theme perspective, yeah, I'm not saying Orleans has some really mind-blowing theme, but with a roll and write that exists based off of an existing game, does it connect and make me feel like that game? This one does.
Yes.
And so I'm going to give it theme points here because I don't usually see that. I don't think that's always well done. This did it fantastically.
I mean, Anthony, you never played Orleans. Theme-wise, what do you think of this one? Not really there, right?
No,
Yeah.
there's not much theme there. I mean, this I in comparing it to a game like Three Sisters or Motor City or any of those where you're rolling dice and basically drafting, it's kind of the same thing, right? You're picking X amount out. I get to pick. You blah blah. Sometimes there's one left over that everybody gets to use. Other than that, the theme is not. It's just not there.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
not much going on. It's just people. There's different people that do different stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
I will point out, this is not a strategy conversation necessarily, but the cards that you're able to get that give you different abilities become incredibly important, which I learned very quickly when I didn't take them nearly enough. And that was a rough lesson.
Well,
in
it's
my
how
game.
regular Oleon is like too.
I know, and I should have figured that, but
Yeah.
I made some bad pulls in the beginning. But yeah, I mean, it's a roll and write, so mechanically we're talking about a flip and write, of sorts. Normally you would call this
Roll and draw.
roll and draw.
No, draw and right.
I-
Sorry, draw and right.
Draw and write. Draw and flip, whatever.
Whatever.
The point is, I like this mechanic of pulling from this. It is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And so that was sort of refreshing. And overall, it did have a pretty good engine building system, which I like in other games like Hadrian's Wall, Three Sisters, etc.
I liked pulling off combos, and that was my favorite part about this game. When it comes to roll and rights, fun. Some of the fun I get is like pulling off combos, right?
Yeah.
You get that in Hadrian's Wall. You get that in Rajah of the Ganges, the Dice Charmers. You get that in Ganjan Clever. You know, this has a great job of that feel where you are pulling off combos. But some of the differences with some of those other games is that when you do these combos, it feels like there's an you're alienating the other players. And then with Orleans, draw and write, it's very much feels like you are kind of doing things before the other player has a chance to do it, because when you're doing these combos, you're achieving some specific goals that if you're the first person to do, you get to take it.
Right.
So there is that constant race because your board is full of them. So I really like that decision making there. Like, I like the hate draft in this game.
You are directly competing, unlike, say, where I love Hadrian's Wall, but I love Hadrian's Wall as a solo game,
Yeah.
and that has complexity like this. Hadrian's Wall, outside of one mechanic, you're not really doing much to interact with the other person.
Yeah.
This one, you constantly have to be aware of what each other's doing because, all right, you don't get access to this anymore, or you can't go this direction on the map anymore.
Yeah.
And so that was very well done. And as a 2-player experience, very much enjoyed it. I know you and I both played solo. Solo was fine. So I would not play this one solo over other solo options that I have in this kind of genre.
Sure.
This is a 2-player game. Maybe I have, truthfully, didn't get to play it with 3, but I see this really performing at 2 players.
Yeah. Anthony, how are you feeling about some of compared to some other roll and writes out there?
No, compared to some other roller rights out there, it has an engine and it left me wanting to play it again for sure.
Yeah.
I want to explore more options. I didn't pay enough attention to what I was not drafting, which is why you kicked my ass so badly. But that's another reason why I just want to play the game again, right? Like it leaves you wanting more. It leaves you wanting to try something else. And that's what I love about these heavier roller rights. I really do. I love the combos as well. So, for as themeless as I, said it still was a lot of fun for me. So, I mean, I don't know if we're ready for numbers, but I would give it a solid 7.
What's your number?
Yeah, I'm pretty much there with you. I was a 7.1 on this one. It didn't win me over to a higher number because I need to play more of it.
Yeah.
I think this could go up a few more points. But I liked it. And the thing for me that made me almost bring that score higher is not owning Orleans anymore. This still had that feel for it.
Yeah.
So a little bit different reasoning in that sense, but yeah. I don't know about the combos. I felt as strong about the combos in this one as I do in other games where there was this like just great feeling of like in Three Sisters. I felt like there was more comboing. This one, you did have to work more to get the combos, which I do appreciate.
But what I liked about it for combos, like I said, is like it's a quick combo. It's
Yeah.
not like I'm taking forever to do my
Yeah,
combo.
right.
Like, I'm not pulling off like some crazy thing. I'm just doing this. It's done. Your turn.
Right. There's definitely less downtime between.
And here's some of that. So with Orleans drawing right, and with all rolling rights I play, I judge heavily when there is lack of player interaction. Like
Right.
I like it when there is player interaction. This one has player interaction, and it is a solid time. I given this an 8.
Wow.
Yeah, I really.
That's a rare when you're beating us on the
no, you're
own right.
I know. I no, but this one is pretty special. I do like it a lot because I love Orleans. I still think Orleans is a better game. It's not gonna beat that for sure. The solo game, don't get it for solo. It's great for 2 to 3 players. I think. I mean, we haven't done 3. I can't imagine it not being great for 3 though.
Yeah.
I think it might overstay its welcome at higher player counts though, because what happens is you have to go through that bag, the entire bag every time based on the number of players. So we went through that entire bag twice.
Yes.
The more players you add, the longer it's going to take.
Yeah.
But I like the type board. I like the combos. I like the racing against other players. Yeah. So that's why I give this an 8.
Solid scores, but overall, yeah, a really good game. I need to play a little bit more. I at 3-player count and see what I think, but I'll tell you after two free plays of this, 2 solo, 1 with 2-player. Yeah, great game.
I'm just gonna also, before we go, I want to pull up, if I can. Is there a picture of it? No, but if you take a look at the box art, right? The box art of Orleans, Joan of Arc, her outfit, right, and her pose is the exact same pose as the box of Orleans itself. So people have been pointing this out, that the best Easter egg is the main guy on the cover of Orleans wasn't a guy at all, but it was just Joan of Arc all along.
Ah,
So I think that's pretty cool.
very cool.
See, OG cover, this cover.
Yeah, but definitely
yeah.
recommend people try this one. That's for sure.
Cool.
Cool. What do we want to talk about next?
I'll let you pick.
I mean, we all played. I believe we were going to talk. We want to talk a little bit about a game that I think all 3 of us have played to this point, which was Tetris. I think all 3 of us. You played Tetris with me, Anthony?
No.
Can't remember now.
Negative.
I think he's frozen there. Quiet.
I'm frozen. Come on.
But I know you and I played Tetris, and it is the new version that you would see in the Target.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Designed by Phil Walker Harding.
yes.
Oh, Anthony disconnected.
Yes, he disconnected. We know Anthony will come back, but let's talk a little about Tetris. Designed by Phil Walker Harding.
Designer of Sushi Go.
Sushi
Designer
Go.
of Baron Park.
Yep.
Llama Land. Gizmos.
So many.
Emotep.
Summer Camp.
Summer Camp.
Summer Camp's a delightful little one.
Planted.
Planted, so good.
Okay.
So good. So, Tetris, many of you have played Tetris before, I
Yes.
assume. Obviously, this was a digital game that many people knew growing up, or if not growing up, they've played it on their mobile phones for the first time.
I mean, it came with Game Boy.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. So depending what age you are when you get to this video. But Tetris is a fairly straightforward game. When it comes down to it, you're going to have cards showing you what is about to be played and what's coming next. You're going to have patterns that you're going to be trying to compete. There's essentially 3 of them public in nature, and then a secret objective per se that you're going to be able to bring into play, which I would do automatically. Mm-hmm. I would always do that one, quite frankly. Now, in this game, you are going to use that. We're going to start placing our pieces into these.
Hi, Anthony, you're back.
Welcome back.
Hello?
Is he there?
Oh,
Well,
not there.
We'll continue here.
He'll come back.
Yeah, but you're playing into these delightfully designed trays. Now, these boards that you're looking at, if you can't tell, there's also these symbols in them, and you can match the type of piece with those symbols to gain extra points as you're playing. So it's a really simple straightforward game, very easy to teach, 20, 25 minutes. It's not going to take too long. It's again something that, I falls into that kind of family fun area, I would say. Mechanically, very sound in the fact that, yes, you're going to know what's coming up, much like you would if you play Tetris, and you can plan ahead, but it's not secret information, so your opponent knows as well. And what's important to point out about these boards that you're using with and these stands is they're all a little different. So you don't all have the same things in the same spot for those bonus points. You're going to be scoring points for getting full lines completely filled in. I think you were slightly disappointed that the bottom part didn't fall out when we were playing this. I don't know how mechanically they would have done it, but
Yeah.
But to that point, yeah, it's going to fill up, and when you can no longer put any pieces in, your turn is going to end. So at a certain point, you may not be able to do that. I'll be honest, I've played this game like 5-6 times now. I have never had an issue where I wasn't able to finish everything before all the tiles ran out.
Yeah.
And I've never had to overflow. So I'm interested because Mitchell's played this, Marcel's played this. I'm interested if you've ever had the overflow. I've never really had the overflow. What I did find about this game, though, is mechanically sound, easy to teach. Thematically, though, I mean, well, first from mechanics and the basics of this game, what was your first impression?
Okay, so I was really looking forward to this because I like Phil Walker Harding's games. There is no soundtrack. We provided it on our own, though.
Yes, we did.
Now, I like Phil Walker Harding's games usually, and I like and I love Tetris. Like I love Tetris. Like that, would play it a lot. So I was looking forward to it from a mechanical standpoint, and I understand you can't do everything in a video game as a board game,
Right.
For sure. But because I love Tetris going in, I feel like I'm going to be very harsh on this review. So thematically, this game is not Tetris. It when you play Tetris, but you're like a new, I remember as a kid playing the newer version of Tetris on PlayStation, and they changed the mechanics where parts of the pieces are just falling down. I feel like this feels like that to me, where this is not Tetris. And again, I'm very curmudgeon about
It's
this.
all right. It's all right.
When they change the mechanics of Tetris and the feeling of Tetris and scoring the lines and the speed of it all and the rotating, that stuff isn't really here. This is just more turn-based. It's got a Tetris look to it for sure.
Yeah.
But this game is not Tetris, which is why I did not like it.
Right.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. And I knew that. So what was funny is I did really enjoy this game.
I'm glad you guys in the chat enjoyed it. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
I understand why I did enjoy this game. I think my largest takeaway from this game, because mechanically to me it was close enough to Tetris that it worked for me. No, the bottom didn't come out. No, there's not matching symbols, right? But they were doing something to make it a little bit more of a game. I was okay with that. What I actually would have appreciated with this if there was a little app that was it sped it up and said, here's the next one, here's the next one. So there was a time-based piece to it.
I don't want someone to design it, but yeah, for sure. This is more you're dropping them down. You're trying to match different things on your pre-printed board. You don't really have a choice on your pre-printed board. I mean,
Right.
Well,
Well, it's all randomized because you're just getting one of the boards anyways. You don't know what you're getting.
right. Yeah, and Anthony didn't play it.
Yeah. I forgot if I brought it over to his house. So
Well, yeah. So it doesn't. It like I said, it may look like Tetris. It may say it's Tetris. It is not Tetris. That's what I'm gonna keep saying in this review. Look, I'm just gonna go right in. I'm giving this a 4 or 5 because I still liked the concept of the dropping. That was fine for sure.
it felt good. I always liked the enjoyment of the dropping it in.
But doing the shared objectives and the secret objectives, this is not the game I signed up for, and I feel like I was bamboozled.
So
Sorry.
no, it's okay. So I'll say this: did I think the mechanics of the game were original? Ultimately, no.
No. There's other
Did
games
I-
that do this stuff better.
Did I think the game was fun and enjoyable? For me, yes. My concern with the game is the long-term replayability because there's so many games that do a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, did I enjoy it? Yes.
Yeah.
Is it going to leave my collection? No, it's not. My family. I think it fits perfectly in that dinner game world that I talk about. But ultimately, in terms of a Philip Walker Harding games, I'm more likely to play Summer Camp, Planted, some of these other games. Yeah, Gizmos, which I've never played, but sure. I've only played online, I believe. But yeah, I will say this one. No, did I enjoy it? Sure. I think it's a 6.5 for me at this time, but it's not going anywhere. I do appreciate it. I just think there's just some unoriginal things that are in other games that I can do. But it's a fun game, and I do think for kids, for families, and the dropping of the pieces, I do think this is a great game.
Yeah.
You know, and that is, I think that's the description.
Yeah.
The dropping is nostalgic.
Right. It's got that Connect 4
Yeah.
kind of feel.
So-
right? When you drop those pieces in.
Right. And so that's why I'm saying that. So I think. And
But even then, like, I'd rather do my shelfie. You know what I mean? Also,
I would like a copy of my Shelfie
Sure.
to be available. But
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone's not, but that is true. My Shelfie is phenomenal, and my Shelfie would give me that same feel. But no, I really did like it. So my score is a 6.5. It reflects kind of what I've said.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not leaving my collection. So I agree with your points to some extent about Tetris versus, is it Tetris? But at the same point, I don't think mechanically you can match it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I agree. Nostalgic is the word. So I think it works.
Or it doesn't drop the whole way. You have to smack it.
Oh yeah, that does happen from time to time. You
Yeah.
expect back of it, but that was Tetris.
Play Drop It. No, I haven't played Drop It. I'd like to.
Oh, I don't know Drop It, but yeah, that was Tetris again. I still ultimately think fun game. People are gonna like it. And ultimately, I just think it doesn't have enough originality for me.
Right.
But if you're looking for nostalgia, I do think for most people it will work.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's Tetris. I know we had a few others, but we got to talk about Undaunted.
I knew you were going to talk about
The Battle of Britain.
Yeah, Undaunted Battle of Britain is the latest entry in the Undaunted series designed
it
by
is.
Trevor Benjamin David Thompson. If you don't know what the Undaunted series is, it is a deck building war game. So you are going out, and by war game I mean like a tactical skirmish kind
Yep.
of thing. Okay. So you are playing these cards, and also these cards correlate to pieces on a board that will do specific actions. Okay. Undaunted Battle of Britain, what it does differently than any others is that it is not a square-based system like most of the Undaunted series, nor is it a land battle system.
Yep.
It is an air battle system in hexagons. And what you're going to be doing is every turn you're going to be playing these different deck cards. Let me see if I find an image of a card. Right over here.
Yep.
So you'll be playing a different army card, which correlates to a different airplane out on the board. Usually an airplane. There's also like ships and stuff.
Yeah.
And the left-hand side of that plane is going to tell you movement, and on the right-hand side is an action that you may do. So whenever you play a card, you always have to move that airplane at least one space, which makes this game a lot more tactical than any of the Undaunted games previously come out. Yeah, because you're always constantly just moving and have to take that into consideration with all your actions. Not only that, because it's a hexagon and because you're an airplane, things you have to do include maneuvering, which means turning left and right.
Yep.
Okay? And whenever you want to turn left or right, you have to move at least one space and then turn left or right. And not only that, there's also targeting lines, which you need to make sure where you're shooting out of, you could see the target right in front of you. Okay, these are all differences with the Undaunted series versus like the airplane one. The rest of the game plays exactly the same as the other Undaunted games. Every turn, everyone gets 4 cards. You have to burn a card at the beginning of your turn to determine initiative, which is that number on the top left, and the higher number gets to go first that round, which is crucial in some rounds, more so than the similar, in my opinion, the War Chest, which is like in a similar DNA, similar kind of vein. But yeah, Undaunted, Battle of Britain. That's pretty much how you play it.
And thematically, so thematic because the scenarios that I don't know how many of the scenarios are exactly were in it.
10.
There's 10, but they're all very specific battles with very different goals that you need to accomplish depending on the role that you take. So thematically, these games are always on point in the Undaunted series from my experience thus far. The maneuvering of the I will say from the mechanic perspective, which you just spoke to, the fact that you have to move then rotate adds such a different level.
It feels
to this
like
game.
a plane.
Yeah.
It's weird. I mean, I never flew a plane, but it feels like as clunky as it's gonna feel.
I felt so close. We had a good matchup, but I felt so good about something. But then I realized, crap, I can maneuver, but I can't actually get to the spot that I want to get to this turn because I have to maneuver the damn plane.
Right.
And so from a tactical perspective, it just was phenomenal. And there is enough that you could want to play these scenarios in different ways, different times. There's enough in here. The replayability is going to be there. This game, and we've been playing Undaunted.
Stalingrad.
Stalingrad, which
was my game of the year last year.
Yes, and it's a phenomenal experience. But if I'm going to get a standalone copy of Undaunted right now, a standalone, not the legacy version, but just one that I can play, whenever I like, candidly, straightforward, this is the one I'm going to own.
Yeah, I regret having all the Undaunted games because if I could do it all over again, I'd rather just have Battle of Britain and Stalingrad.
This is, and I will not tell people to not get those other games, especially if you.
No, I will.
But I mean, I haven't played them, so I can't.
Okay.
I haven't played them all. I'm simply saying I have no interest anymore in even worrying about that. This game is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's a 9.0 for me.
9.0.
I love this.
You rated higher than I did.
I love this game. You don't know, like when I say I really loved this, the standalone experience of this was just it was aces. It was really aces for me.
Aces.
Yeah.
He's clever, right? Airplane. Well, I'm giving it 8.3, and I still really enjoy it. Keep in mind, the original Undaunted, I think I gave like an 8 something to. Right. Stalingrad, 9.9.
Stalingrad's amazing.
Amazing. Because what Stalingrad adds to the system, which is like the level, you could upgrade cards, you're changing actual terrain tiles, you are going to be going through like a story-based kind of missions. Mechanics wise though, this is the superior one for sure. And if they make a legacy version of this, a campaign version of this one, man, I don't know.
Yeah.
But from a gameplay perspective, for like a tactical skirmish kind of thing, this is great. This is a fantastic one. I'd rather play this than a lot of tactical skirmish games. I always get, mishy-mashy about tactical skirmishes. But this one, phenomenal. I highly recommend it.
Yeah. No, but I stand by the 9. And I will say, for anyone who's watched, if you've never watched a review that we've done, I will say I do love to that point War Chest.
Yeah.
And this hits on all the things I like about War Chest and more. I genuinely like this better than War Chest, and I love War Chest.
I know you do.
So for me to say that, I is honestly a big deal.
War Chest was in your top 20 last year, was it not? Or this year? It was close to it.
It was close to if it wasn't in. This right now is, it's really good.
Yeah.
The whole everything about the mechanics of the way the planes move in this, and then there's bombers and other stuff. I mean, Marcel, you should totally get this. I mean, I hate to say that. I really do love this. Because this has theme plus the things I like about it's a different system altogether. You can't compare it. You can't compare the fact that it's a random draw of a card.
War Chest?
Drawing from a bag. There's a little more. There's it's different.
It's the things I like better over War Chest. I mean, with Undaunted over War Chest. the initiative system in Undaunted is phenomenal. And it's really crucial in this game in particular because you know all of the planes are going to be moving, and you want to get your early initiative in as much as possible, because what's going on is, right, your cards, when you're playing them, you're either playing them as action cards that round, or you're burning it for the initiative value in the beginning. And if you burn it for the initiative value, notice the ones that are 9s are also like the most powerful cards.
Yep.
And there's a huge trade-off there, you know? So if you want to go first, you might need to burn some of your best cards to go first.
And to compare that in War Chest, when you're getting sometimes the chip you're getting rid of to get initiative.
Yeah.
And initiative is valuable, especially with the 2 expansions in War Chest. But when you get rid of one, it may be meaningless to you at that point.
Right.
You're never going to have a meaningless burn of a card.
Right.
And that's why I say it's just this added level.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can't say enough good things about this game. Just because I think it is truly one of the most mechanically sound games of this type I've ever played.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Was there another review?
I'm trying to double check. Did we have any other ones?
I don't believe so.
I think that's it for this week from the review perspective. Yeah. Yeah.
But go play this game, Marcel.
Yeah. Marcel, you'll, and I will eventually. I did just get a notification that I can fill out my French Quarters thing. So, because French Quarters will be coming to my house.
Oh, the Roll and Write game.
Roll and Write, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I did. I had a preview copy of, so I got to try it. It's
Thanks.
good. But yeah, guys, thank you again for everyone for being here. Keeping the chat lively, talking about I think a really fun topic. I know we've got a fun special treat coming up next week.
Yeah, next week we're celebrating. I believe it was Anthony's idea.
It was Anthony's idea
for sure. We are doing a live playthrough of a special Christmas in July episode. Yes. We'll be playing some Christmas themed games next week.
Yeah, so we'll bring Christmas out early, and then we'll have Call Board the week after that.
Right. To talk about what games you played that.
Talk about the games. So come ready. I want to hear you. I want to see people calling in, talking about the games they've played, getting excited, sharing the experiences they've had on their table, because we want to know what's on your table in 2 weeks. And we're going to keep it going. A lot of good stuff on the way. And want to thank everybody for being with us tonight. And any thoughts, comments, leave them in the chat. And thank you for coming aboard the Tabletop Express.
Cueing the music. See that?
Yes. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye, everyone.